C. Vegetable dishes. From Cassell's Vegetarian Cookery, by A.G. Payne. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit librivox.org. Reading by Bologna Times. Sea vegetables. From Cassell's Vegetarian Cookery. Cabbage soup. Take a white cabbage and slice it up and throw it into some stock or water with some leeks and slices of turnip. Boil the whole till the vegetables are tender. Flavor with pepper and salt. This is sometimes called Cornish broth, though in Cornwall a piece of meat or bones are generally boiled with vegetables. As no meat, of course, is used, too much water must not be added, but only sufficient liquor must be served to make the vegetables thoroughly moist. Perhaps the consistency can best be described by saying that there should be equal quantities of vegetables and fluid. Carrot soup. If you wish this soup to be of a good color, you must only use the outside or red part of the carrot, in which case a dozen large carrots will be required. If economy is practiced, half this quantity will be sufficient. Take, say, half a dozen carrots, a small head of celery, and one onion, and throw them into boiling water for a few minutes in order to preserve the color. Then drain them off and place them in a saucepan, with a couple of ounces of butter to prevent them sticking and burning, and place the saucepan on a very slack fire, and let them stew so that the steam can escape, but take care they don't burn or get brown. Now add a quart or 2 quarts of stock or water and boil them till they are tender. Then rub the whole through a wire sieve. Add a little butter, pounded sugar, pepper, and salt. The amount of liquid added must entirely depend upon the size of the carrots. It is better to add too little than too much, but the consistency of the soup should be like ordinary pea soup. It does not do to have the soup watery. If only the outside parts of carrots are used, and this red part is thrown, at starting, into boiling water to preserve its color, this soup, when made thick, has a very bright and handsome appearance, and is suitable for occasions when a little extra hospitality is exercised. The inside part of the carrot, if not used for making the soup, need not be wasted, but can be used for making stock, or served in a dish of mixed vegetables on some other occasion. Cauliflower soup. Take 3 or 4 small cauliflowers, or 2 large ones, soak them in salt and water, and boil them in some water till they are nearly tender. Take them out, and break the cauliflower so that you get 2 or 3 dozen little pieces out of the heart of the cauliflower, somewhat resembling miniature bouquets. Put the rest of the cauliflower back into the water in which it was boiled, with the exception of the green part of the leaves, with an onion and some of the white part of a head of celery. Let all boil till the water has nearly boiled away. Now rub all this through a wire sieve, onions, celery, cauliflower, and all. Add to it sufficient boiling milk to make the whole of the consistency of pea soup. Add a little butter, pepper, and salt. Throw in those little pieces of cauliflower that had been reserved a minute or 2 before serving the soup. It is an improvement to boil 2 or 3 bay leaves with the milk, and also a very great improvement indeed to add a little boiling cream. Fried or toasted bread should be served with the soup. Celery soup. Take half a dozen heads of celery, or a smaller quantity if the heads of celery are very large. Throw away all the green part and cut up the celery into small pieces, with 1 onion sliced, and place them in a frying pan, or, better still, in an enameled stew pan, and stew them in a little butter, taking great care that the celery does not turn color. Now add sufficient water or stock, and let it all boil till the celery becomes quite tender. Let it boil till it becomes a pulp, and then rub the whole through a wire sieve. Next, boil separately from 1 to 2 quarts of milk, according to the quantity of celery pulp. and boil a couple of bay leaves in the milk. As soon as the milk boils, add it to the celery pulp. Flavor the soup with pepper and salt. Serve fried or toasted bread with the soup. It is needless to say that all these white soups are greatly improved both in appearance and flavor by the addition of a little cream. Cabbage, plain boiled. Ordinary young cabbages should be first trimmed by having the outside leaves removed, the stalks cut off, and then should be cut in halves and allowed to soak some time in salt and water. They should be thrown into plenty of boiling water. The water should be kept boiling and uncovered. As soon as they are tender they should be strained off and served immediately. Young summer cabbages will not take longer than a quarter of an hour, or even less. Old cabbages take nearly double that time. It is impossible to lay down any exact rule with regard to time. Savoys generally take about half an hour. The large white cabbages met with in the west of England take longer and require a different treatment. When cabbage is served as a dish by itself, it will be found a great improvement to add either butter or oil to moisten the cabbage after it is thoroughly drained off. In order to insure the butter not oiling, but adhering to the cabbage, it is best after the butter is added, and while you mix it with the cabbage, to shake the flour dredger 2 or 3 times over the vegetable. In Germany, many add vinegar and sugar to the cabbage. Cabbage, large white. In the west of England, cabbages grow to an immense size, owing, probably, to the moist heat, and have been exhibited in agricultural shows over 20 pounds in weight and as big as an 18-gallon cask. These cabbages are best boiled as follows. After being cut up and thoroughly washed, it will be found that the greater part of the cabbage resembles what in ordinary cabbage would be called stalk, and of course the leaves vary very considerably in thickness from the hard stalk end up to the leaf. Have plenty of boiling water ready salted. Now cut off the stalk part where it is thickest, and throw this in first. Wait till the water comes to the boil again, and let it boil for a few minutes. Then throw in the next thickest part, and again wait till the water reboils, and so on, reserving the thin, leafy part to be thrown in last of all. By this means, and this only, do we get the cabbage boiled uniformly. Had we thrown it all at once, one of two things would be inevitable. Either the stalk would be too hard to be eaten, or the leafy part overboiled. A large white cabbage takes about an hour to boil tender, and a piece of soda should be added to the water. When the cabbage is well drained, it can be served either plain or moistened, and made to look oily by the addition of a piece of butter. As the cabbage is very white, the dish is very much improved by the addition of a little chopped parsley sprinkled over the top, not for the sake of flavor, but appearance. Cabbage and cream. Ordinary cabbages are sometimes served stewed with a little cream. They should be first parboiled, then the moisture squeezed from them, and then they must be put in a stew pan with a little butter, pepper, salt, and nutmeg, and a spoonful of flour should be shaken over the cabbage in order to prevent the butter being too oily. When the cabbage is stewed till it is perfectly tender, add a few spoonfuls of cream, stir up, and make the whole thoroughly hot, and serve with fried or toasted bread. Cabbage, red. Red cabbages are chiefly used for pickling. They are sometimes served fresh. They should be cut across so that the cabbage shreds, boiled till they are tender, the moisture thoroughly extracted, and then put into a stew pan with a little butter, pepper, and salt, and a few shakes of flour from the flour dredger. After stirring for 10 minutes, or a quarter of an hour, squeeze the juice of a lemon over them, and serve. Carrots, boiled. When carrots are boiled and served as a course by themselves, they ought to be young. This dish is constantly met with abroad in early summer, but is rarely seen in England, except at the tables of vegetarians. The carrots should be trimmed, thoroughly washed, and, if necessary, slightly scraped, and the point at the end, which looks like a piece of string, should be cut off. They should be thrown into fast boiling water, salted, in order to preserve their color. When tender, they can be served with some kind of good white sauce, or sauce allemande, or Dutch sauce. Perhaps this latter sauce is best of all, as it looks like rich custard. Part of the red carrot should show uncovered by any sauce. They are best placed in a circle, and the thick sauce poured in the center. A very little chopped blanched parsley can be sprinkled on the top of the sauce. In making Dutch sauce for carrots, use lemon juice instead of tarragon vinegar. Carrots, fried. Fried carrots can be made from full-grown carrots. They must be first parboiled and then cut in slices. They must then be dipped in well-beaten-up egg, and then covered with fine dry breadcrumbs, and fried a nice brown in smoking hot oil in a frying basket. The slices of carrot should be peppered and salted before being dipped in the egg. Carrots, mashed. When carrots are very old, they are best mashed. Boil them for some time, then cut them up and rub them through a wire sieve. They can be pressed in a basin and made hot by being steamed. A little butter, pepper, and salt should be added to the mixture. A very pretty dish can be made by means of mixing mashed carrots with mashed turnips. They can be shaped in a basin, and, with a little ingenuity, can be put into red and white stripes. The effect is something like the top of a striped tent. Cauliflower au gratin. This is a very nice method of serving cauliflower as a course by itself. The cauliflower or cauliflowers should first be boiled till thoroughly tender, very carefully drained, and then placed upright in a vegetable dish with the flower part uppermost. The whole of the flower part should then be masked, i.e., covered over, with some thick white sauce. Allemande sauce or Dutch sauce will do. This is then sprinkled over with grated Parmesan cheese, and the dish put in the oven for the top to brown. As soon as it begins to brown, take it out of the oven and finish it off neatly with a salamander. A red-hot shovel will do. The same way you finish cheesecakes made from curds. Cauliflower and tomato sauce. Boil and place the cauliflower or flowers upright in a dish as in the above recipe. Now mask all the flower part very neatly, commencing round the edges first, with some tomato conserve previously made warm, and serve immediately. This is a very pretty looking dish. Celery, stewed. The secret of having good stewed celery is only to cook the white part. Throw the celery into boiling water, with only sufficient water just to cover it. When the celery is tender, use some of the water in which it is stewed to make a sauce to serve with it, or better still, stew the celery in milk. The sauce looks best when it is thickened with the yolks of eggs. A very nice sauce indeed can be made by first thickening the milk or water in which the celery is stewed with a little white roux, and then adding a quarter of a pint of cream boiled separately. Stewed celery should be served on toast, like asparagus. A little chopped blanched parsley can be sprinkled over the white sauce by way of ornament, and fried bread should be placed round the edge of the dish. Stewed celery can also be served with sauce allemande or Dutch sauce. End of See Vegetable Dishes from Cassell's Vegetarian Cookery by A. G. Payne.